Yes, my friends, welcome back, man. Hopefully everything is working fine. I was doing some research. I saw that I had like a CPU bottleneck. I don't know what the hell that means, but whatever it was, that was the reason why the stream was really lagging hard. It had nothing to do with my internet. It was the CPU. So hopefully things are gonna work fine now. There's no like background apps or anything open behind the scenes, and hopefully you guys can flip and hear me. I mean, what a struggle it's been to get this up and running. I thought I was doing something smart today, man, but everything that I think like this just ends up being a massive ordeal. But anyway, my friends, you guys know what you're here for the third time. You're here to discuss transfer news, transfer stories. As we know, big developments around Tel. As we know, big developments around other players who are hoping to leave. And yeah, a lot more to come as this month comes to its end, my friends. So yeah, you guys, hope you guys enjoy the stream. And let's discuss all the latest reports coming out today involving Mathys Tel. Now, Tottenham might be doing us a favour at the moment because it seems like they've had their offer accepted by Bayern Munich. That's up to the tune of £50.2 million. And now you wait to see if Tel decides to go to Spurs. Naturally, because himself and his team aren't stupid, why would you instantly commit to signing for Tottenham just because Bayern Munich have accepted the offer? What this is going to do now, will cause a chain reaction. This is going to cause other interested parties now to now come in and now present their offers to tell why they're the best projects for him. As we know today, Aston Villa are also looking at Tel as well. We know John Duran secured the big boy contract in Saudi Arabia, tax-free money. And I'm sure that money and offer was that good that the moment he told his La Familia, like, you know, nah, I'm thinking to just reject this offer and stay in the Midlands, I'm sure they'd call him a fool. And I'm sure out of responsibility for his family, he had to accept that offer because when you're making tax-free money like that, you can't be turning that down at 21 years old. You can come back to Europe in 2-3 years time. You would have ended up ridiculously. And then anything you do after that is just like, you know, additional bonuses on top, right? So I can understand that. But now that Aston Villa have a lot of money to play with in the market, naturally, they're going to be looking at players now to replace Duran. And Mathys Tel is a player that Aston Villa have also asked about and also possibly discussed. So we see what happens there. Tel is the most sought after in-demand player in the market right now. We know that Spurs, United, us, a host of German clubs, a host of other European clubs as well are paying great attention to try and secure something. I feel like wherever Tel ends up will be a massive surprise, to be honest, because he will pick the club that is best for his development, that will offer him minutes, that will offer him the opportunity to play. That is the key thing here, right? So we wait to see what happens with those developments. But as we know, Spurs at the moment have had their offer accepted. And yeah, man, we wait to see if Tel decides that Spurs are the best club for him. But I'd be very surprised at that. I mean, the benefit that we're getting from Spurs now is that they've done us and the whole market a massive favor, because now you know exactly how much money Tel is going to be available for. You're going to know exactly what you need to do to get this deal over the line, which means that all you have to waste your time on now is persuading Tel to sign for you. He hasn't ruled us out, as I discussed yesterday, but he wants assurances. And I think the best assurances we can offer him are minutes as a striker. That's the only way I see things working. And if we don't offer that to him, the guy has half of Europe after him right now. So someone will offer him the assurances that he's clearly looking for. But Spurs, of course, their competition is weaker compared to us. And if you're telling and his team, you think to yourself, you know what? Is this necessarily a terrible offer? Yes, they're right down in the bottom of the table. But Spurs have forever been a club that big clubs eventually buy from. And if you've been tired of your lack of minutes and lack of game time and lack of development at Bayern Munich, do you think to yourself, hold on a second, maybe I'm not going to make that same mistake twice. I'm not going to force these moves that I don't have to right now. I'm not here for that. I'm going to play the long game, and I'm going to just focus on playing right now because that's all I need. There's no point having all this potential if there's no platform for me to showcase this potential, right? So Spurs could offer an advantage that could be offered the same. I mean, I like to think so. I like to think that Tel will back himself and rates his own source and knows that, you know what? I feel like I can take on Sancho. I feel like I can take on Nico Jackson. But equally, what is the priority? Is it playing for a big club with high rep? Or is it just getting minutes, getting on that field and playing week in, week out? Because without those minutes, man, there's no point having potential. And I think he's learned the lesson the hard way. A very hard way at Bayern Munich. But you guys, what you're saying in the chat right now, share some of your thoughts and opinions. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say. DT, Raz, okay, Raz, how you what you saying, man? I feel like we'll be surprised by something before the window closes. These sporting directors are always doing something. Yeah, there's always like a plan C, plan D, plan E, plan F. I think we've learned that the hard way. I'd be surprised. Maybe it could be a direct consequence of whatever merry-go-rounds happen on the market, right? Obviously, Duran going for big money means that Aston Villa can really distort things in the market right now. Aston Villa can really shake things up because there's a free position available. They have a shit ton of money to spend. They have European football on offer. And, you know, at the moment, Villa have been proving that they're a great destination for young talent to be able to showcase their abilities to grow and improve. And you're going to earn big money. You're going to work under a great manager in Unai Emery. And there's a lot of upside and plus side towards going to an Aston Villa. As they've shown, you know, they won't say no to players leaving as long as the money's right. Hence why Duran, but they were very strongly saying no. Duran is staying here. In the end, they've accepted that stupid money from Al Nassr. So if Aston Villa were to go in for Tel, would that necessarily be the most surprising thing? Would Tel just turn them down instantly? Especially with news that Arsenal now are stepping up their efforts for Ollie Watkins. So we have great competition. It's not as simple as we once thought it is. And I think to myself, what exactly could be offered Tel that is going to really force him to come here and commit to this football club? I'm really curious to see. I think the only thing I can think of, is that we offer him minutes up front, because I think Tel ideally wants to develop as a striker. He was tired of playing out wide. As the second season went on, his form was regressing. Yeah, it was a combination of not having access to minutes, you know, things regularly being, like taken away from him in terms of minutes. But he might be thinking to himself, you know what? If I'm not playing up front, then I'm not even interested in what clubs have to say. And considering that, you know, talk suggests that we made time for a striker in the summer, there's an opportunity for Tel to make the club reconsider our ideas, to turn towards like a Liam Delap, turn towards a Sechko and be like, no, this is my position. I'm a number 9. So I think it can go either way. There's a lot of fascinating angles around this story. But my friends, what you saying, Charlie Mahoney, what would you want us to get Jimenez off AC Milan? Now, I did speak about Jimenez. I thought he'd be like a left field type of move, because I see a little bit of like a Falcao in this guy's game. Like, he has definitely grown. I like that he prospered working under Arne Slot. He pressed from the top. He's a scorer of a variety of different goals. We haven't had that type of goal scorer for a long time. A lot of the strikers we've had recently, they only have like 3 or 4 finishes under their belt. And whenever there's like half chance opportunities, or whenever there's like dangerous balls delivered inside the box, or even just taking shots outside the box, I can't remember the last time I've seen a striker score a goal outside the box. It really just makes me realize what we're lacking up front, right? I think Jimenez, considering that his money and his fee isn't too big, is that an idea? But then I think from the club side, they tell themselves, well, if we have to commit 40 million to Jimenez, we'd rather go for our main guys than either one of Sechko or either one of Liam Delap. So he would have been an interesting one if we had like concrete, you know, efforts and news for him. But I'm very unsure about that. Miki, Nini, do you think Chelsea have a case of new toy syndrome? We just bought Neto and Sancho. We're already looking to sign another player in that position. In my opinion, we gotta have a little more patience. I think that's a really fair comment you're making. I do think it's a bit mad just how impatient we've been when it comes to like clearing these players up and spitting them back out again. And you're doing this during a time where the manager's systems, like, not perfect. The understanding has to improve. I thought the game plan against City made sense, but the execution is the main thing that players aren't able to consistently bring. And when you're giving the manager half a squad to work with, where most of these guys are guys that he's not even turning to when he should be, it's not giving you much confidence, right? So it feels like everyone needs a bit of patience this season, needs a bit of time. And I feel like if we keep up this like really ruthless approach of prioritizing the business and money and not risking taking any losses on any player, eventually we're going to look very negative on the market. We're going to look like a bad destination for a lot of players. We're going to look like we're not serious because we can't commit to anything and we don't have patience for nothing. So I think that's definitely a fair point you're bringing up. We got to see what happens with that. But anyway, Khalid Ali, Tel is 9. I don't know, man. This has Nkunku situation written all over. I mean, I've always seen Tel as a 9. I think that's his skill set. I think he's probably got more variety of finishing behind his belt. I think one thing I really like about Tel is that he doesn't need any backlift to take these shots off. Like and I think to myself, like when you have even smaller spaces to work with inside the box or around the box, being able to blast a shot in like at super speed when you take your shots early with no backlift, you know, with no run-ups, that is a big advantage in itself. So like Tel's another one of these potential FC players where, you know, if you want to commit to him properly, if you want to use him properly, if you want to have the patience, because you need to have that patience. He's not going to come here. He ain't going to go on some mad scoring spree and get like 20 goals before the season ends. That's like ridiculous. That's stupid to see it that way. For me, I mean, I'd like to think that if you're going for him, it means that you're committing to the next 2-3 years, yeah? Because you have to. Otherwise, if you're not doing that, what is the point? What is the point realistically? We've shown that those tangibles are important for players because otherwise he'd be a success at Bayern Munich right now. He's not been able to be a success because he has a lot of things working against him. You know, he's playing as a winger. He's not playing as a wide forward. He's far away from goal. Other parts of his game are coming under scrutiny, like his decision making, how he takes on players from like stand positions. I've always thought he's very much like a momentum-based player where if he's already on the run down that flank and you play him in, that's when he comes to life with his skill and the chaos that he can create due to the unpredictability behind this game. But equally at this age, yeah, these guys, they need to have a feeling for themselves and a confidence on the field when they play. And I think when you're Tel and you're constantly getting minutes 1 week, not playing for another 2 weeks, and then on your third week you're getting the odd 10 minutes, that's not a platform to build. That's not a platform to feel yourself in games, to find your confidence, to find your voice on the field. That's how I kind of see it a lot of times. And I think this is why he's accepted finally, because I think Bayern Munich have forced him by not using him in the last few games. I need to go. I need to play. That's the most important thing here. So I hear what you guys are saying. HKMJ, how long till winter deadline? It closes on the 3rd of February. The 3rd of February. So a lot of things are going to happen, my friends. A lot of things are going to go down. Philip Smith, the owners don't care about Chelsea. We won't sign anyone in the January window. I mean, we say that. But equally, I'm going to pose this question to you guys. But if we don't sign anyone in this window, is it time for maybe Maresca and the club to accept, you know what? We clearly aren't going to get your style of football working perfectly this season. But that shouldn't take away from the objectives, which is to try and get Champions League football. Like, we're close enough where we should be doing everything in our power to fight for it. Should Maresca not just be adapting to what he has in the squad right now? You know, you can't probably afford to ostracize Ben Chilwell because quite clearly, no clubs have come for him. It was a terrible gamble. You're paying this guy over 200 bags a week already. You're not going to pay off the rest of his contract, because that's an absolute fortune that you're dishing out. When you have a player like this, and you've just allowed Ronaldo Vega to leave, should you not think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I need to think about an actual plan B. If I'm going to be keeping Nkunku potentially, and Felix potentially, and Ben Chilwell potentially, should I look to find an alternate formation that can also get the best out of players that I'm not using right now? Because otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to have all these big earning top players who would never find their form, because they can't find their form because they're not playing week in, week out. And all you're going to do is tire out the players you already have at your disposal. I feel like this is why things are catching up to us, because in our bad run of form, it's been more bad results compared to bad performances, where we crash out after like 60, 70 minutes. And when you can't even use your Cassidays in these games, and your Dewsbury Halls, and all these other guys who are holding the bench, like you're asking for a lot of trouble. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I think this is what's been costing us. I'm going to be releasing a video hopefully in the next few days, but in this video, I'm going to discuss, is it time for Maresca now to think about a different formation and a different system? Because, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit bored that we don't really challenge or do nothing. And I think to myself, if most clubs, if Aston Villa had the level of depth that we have, do you think Felix and Nkunku and these guys and Ben aren't getting on the field at all? Like, we can't be getting too arrogant now at this football club. There is enough talent that could be used if we use it in the right way. If we find a way to also access what we have at our disposal, because these guys aren't shit players. You know, we're not hearing about Nkunku going to play for Crystal Palace, or Felix going to play for Wolves, are we? You know, but we're talking about players that big clubs are still after, and they're attracting a lot of attention. So, you know, we made that mistake before when we told ourselves guys like Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic were done and finished. Look at how these guys have blossomed and performing right now. It's the environment sometimes that we create, right? I feel like we can stifle these guys due to politics, due to poor decision making, due to poor everything. And listen, if we find ourselves in a position where we don't buy no one and we don't sell anyone, we have to reconfigure the plan, and we have to think about how we're going to access talent we already have that costs us an absolute fortune. So that's food for thought, you guys. Anyways, Sebastian, how you doing? Me personally, I don't know how Ben wouldn't be able to play this forward-thinking left-back role Kuku's playing. I kind of agree with you. I kind of remember him doing similar things under Thomas Tuchel. Yeah, he would overlap a lot more. But then equally, let's not forget how many goals we get per season from Ben shooting inside the box or outside the box. You know what I mean? Like, he would offer things in the final third. The club, I think, have forced Maresca to not use him. I think it's a bit of a mad one. But I think Maresca has to... I get all the politics going on right now. I get the fact that Maresca's the head coach. And if he wants to have more of a voice and more power, you have to play the corporate game. You have to talk when your time is right. I get that. But equally, as I keep saying, if most clubs had this level of depth of talent behind them, they wouldn't be wasting it and ignoring it. You know, this is the weird thing about our football club. And I think this is why, like, a lot of us are getting a bit frustrated. Now that time's gone on, you know, we've seen this for like nearly 3 years now. Yeah. I've had a lot of grace. I've had a lot of patience. I'll keep it real. I'm a little bit bored that we ain't doing nothing. I'm a bit bored of this languishing, pretending we're going to be somewhere. And I don't personally think waiting for the next 5 years for Estevan Willian to be 23, 24 before we compete is the way to do things, because I feel like if that's the situation, the environment you're creating to compete is in the muds. It's finished. It's bad. And if you're a serious player, Cole Palmer will be in his late 20s. He's not going to be here if that's the reality. So we have to see what happens, man. Now, Wandil, what's up, man? I'm Wandil. I'm a Chelsea fan. Respect, bro. Nice to meet you. Khaled, the fans are also part of the problem. We tell extremes. We have the group have negative patience and are unable to see a manager's vision. The opposite extreme are the toxic positivity lot. I hear what you're saying. To be fair, I've always felt like the toxic positivity lot, I've never really seen them being that toxic or that positive. And I've always seen them being like a very small voice. I feel like the other people, normally when I see these type of like divides, I think there's like a big voice that kind of dominates the conversation. And a lot of times a big voice needs a small voice to kind of gang up on, or they need that other voice that they can deflect to. I've never really agreed with the toxic positivity because I don't really see it. And maybe you might see it, but it's like, what, one guy, one random guy, two random guys out of how many people? Like, that's not good enough for me, in my opinion. Anyway, King Javi, appreciate the super chat, man. If Cuckoo gets injured, look how fast Chilwell is fit. This is what I'm saying. If anything happened to two key guys like Caicedo and Cucurella, already you think to yourself, shit, the season's done. The season's finished. Like, we ain't getting back from this. That's a big risk. That's a big gamble that you find yourself in, that you're ready to play, right? This is what I'm saying. If we don't sign no one, yeah, all this like planning for a future when the present's not even guaranteed. It's not even guaranteed. You can't be that arrogant to dismiss what you have and not access it and find a way to use it. Listen, Maresca, you were at flipping Leicester City last season, yeah? Your best player is a player that you have right now that you're ignoring, that you're not even using. If you had like 10% of the talent you're working with right now at Leicester City, they'd be playing week in, week out, and you'd be thanking your lucky stars, yeah? Don't be playing the corporate game that much. I think there's enough talent we can access where worst comes to worst, you know, they might be important for us. We might have to use them. You know, like I said, I'll release this video because I'm thinking, you know what? Let's be constructive. When you have all these issues, yeah, let's not act like we don't have solutions that could be temporary fixes. There's like a few more months before the season ends. You know what I mean? Even if you're planning on selling some of these guys, if they don't go right now, what the hell is going to happen in the summertime? And the value drops even more. And they'll drop even more because they ain't playing. They ain't doing nothing. So, I don't know, man. It's a very, like, sticky situation we find ourselves in, and we really got to think very smart about how we're going to do things. But anyway, I'm seeing an update that someone's bid for Matoma, and Brighton have rejected 54 million. Like, there's no way that's us, is it? There's no way that we just placed a bid for Matoma. I need to see what's going on, man. Oh my, okay. Al Nasir have tried to place a 65 million euro bid for Matoma, and Brighton have rejected that. That's crazy. That's crazy talk, man. Damn. 65 mil for Matoma. That's a big offer. That's a big offer. He's a player that I would have found interesting here, to be honest with you. But he's not going to be winning me games left, right, and centre. That's the issue. David, we used to be one of the best teams in England. I wonder what is happening now. Please, Chelsea should go for experienced players. I think a lot of us would like to see that level of balance just to work alongside the young talent we already have. I think it's skewing in a bit too much in the other direction, and I just understand why this approach has to be so aggressive. I don't get it. I don't know why there can't be a better balance towards having a team that's ready now, preparing for the future. I'll be honest, it's frustrating. It definitely is frustrating. And for myself, I feel like I've given a lot of grace. I've been patient. You know, I've looked to understand the other side, see things from a different perspective. But I don't know, man, I'm getting a little bit bored of things, to be honest with you. Okay, I feel like the stream is lagging again. Yeah. Maybe it's PC I got. I don't know if it's like built for this shit, which is baffling. Because this shit cost me a fortune. So you guys, give me a second. I think it's lagging a little bit. Got a super chat here, my guy. Appreciate that, man. Give me 1 sec. I'm just hoping that my stream is going to stay alive because this shit's getting ridiculous, man. Encoding overloaded. Consider turning down video settings or use a faster encoding preset. I don't even know what that means. Give me 1 sec, bro. Hopefully this stream's gonna stay alive. Otherwise, I think I'm done for today, man. I think I'm done with this for today. It's not gonna work again. This is crazy, man. I really need to figure out why this happens. It feels like it's like CPU bottleneck. So I need to figure out what the hell that even means. I thought my CPU was strong, so this is crazy, man. It's saying that my CPU is at like 100% capacity. OBS is using like, what, 60% doing the stream? Yeah, it's not making no sense. One sec. Oh, is that working now, you guys? Is that like a little bit better? I don't work now for this up because I don't know. Am I doing too much in the stream? Is that it? Maybe. Is that like doing moving parts or something? I'm gonna turn some things off to see if that does anything. Let's see what that does, man. But anyway, Khalid Ali, transfer window aside, Enzo Maresca can make decisions with the players we have. Benching Sanchez, stop off from dropping deep, etc., etc. Yeah, there are solutions here. I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. I wouldn't even mind seeing a wing-back system used. I think we have a lot of options that could fulfill that wing-back role. And if anything, you're allowing Nkunku, and you're allowing Felix and Palmer and others to play closer to Nico. And also play in their favorite positions. Like, I'm sorry, if I don't see that level of adaptation, especially when we need it, I'm going to be very frustrated, yeah. I'm going to be very frustrated because it's just like, you know what? We should be doing more to win now. We should be doing more to use what we have. I don't think there's any excuse for that now, to be fair with you. Yeah, you guys, I don't know what the hell is going on with this, but yeah, it's kind of baffling me. I'm going to keep it up for the next 5 minutes. If there's no improvement, I might have to give up with the stream, man. Maybe I got too many moving parts happening all at once. I got zero idea. But yeah, I'm not really enjoying this. I thought I was going to have fun, but the technical difficulties, I'm not having no fun at all, man. Like, it's just getting on my nerves. Video is lagging, voice is back to normal. Yeah, bro. I don't know what's going on, man. Error, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain. Fucking hell, man. No voice. Yeah, you guys, I'm gonna have to just cancel this stream. It's not working how I want it to. I mean, it's not working at all. Yeah. Sorry, you guys. I'm gonna have to cancel things, man. I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's making sense now. Flipping hell, yeah. Hello, annoying. But like I was saying, if you guys was even hearing me, I'm saying when you got like Ben's and you got Felix's and Nkunku's and other players like this, you know, maybe think about using a wingback system to help the team out. You know, don't ostracize half the squad when you have to use half the squad now. Yeah, we're not in no position where we can be ignoring players like this, especially when they've not even got real tests or opportunities. So I definitely see the other side when people feel a bit frustrated that players aren't given time to play or show what they can do. I think they should be. I think Maresca should be finding a way. You haven't been backed in the market yet. Unless we do like a massive madness before the window closes. At the moment, it's looking like you might not get no one. You can't have this situation where you've got unhappy players behind the scenes, voices are growing in dissent, players frustrated they couldn't get moves away from the football club, and you're going to continue to just like marginalize them for what? It's going to have to change. It's going to have to be different. You know, like I'm saying, look at Ben Chilwell. He has to be reinstated. This gamble of you're not going to use him, you're going to ignore him, kick him out the team, and then you're going to think in the January window he's going to get offers. Like, in what world was that ever going to happen? On the plus side, we got a player that hasn't played, that's only trained. Maybe this is the off time Ben needed so he's able to, you know, keep his fitness again. Because realistically, he only kind of lost out due to injuries. It was only like a year and a bit ago he was offered that massive contract and he was told he was the vice captain. I can't imagine that he's digressed that badly in that state of time that he can offer us nothing for the team. I can't believe that, to be honest with you. I think something has to change, to be fair. I'm glad you guys can finally hear me. Good. But yeah, you guys, give me some of your thoughts and opinions as we break down the news today, man. I'm going to go to Twitter. I'm going to see what Twitter has in terms of any interesting stories or updates coming through right now. Don't know who this guy is. Let's see what Romano is saying. Okay, Caleb Wiley is set to get loaned out to Watford. That's an interesting one. I mean, obviously, Caleb Wiley has that little injury. He left Strasbourg. Strasbourg going to have a potential loan spot open. I wonder who goes there. Could you see like a late loan of Anselmino or someone? Maybe. Who knows? Because I know that Sealer, their left-footed defender that we only signed for Strasbourg last season, Lazio in talks to try and sign him. If Sealer was to leave, is there a potential opening for Anselmino now to go to Strasbourg on loan? Time will tell. Let's see what happens there. But Caleb Wiley, it seems like an interesting player. You know, kind of lost out to Diego Moreira at left back near the end. But I guess keeping him more close to watch rely what he does in the Championship for Watford could be quite good. You know, he's near the club. He gets to settle in London. And we can't pretend that the Championship isn't an amazing finishing school for lots of youth players. Like in that 1920 season, most of these guys, once they sussed out the Championship, they were ready to be like top 4 contenders for our team. So that tells you that the Championship is not a league that we should just dismiss. I mean, it's a great finishing school, I think, for young talent in this country. So going to Watford, I think that's a really interesting piece of news. And I'm hoping he has a good season because attribute-wise, you know, he seems pretty interesting, this kid. I'm not going to lie to you. But let's see what Romano is saying. Are there any more updates from Fabi Romano? Okay, Aston Villa. Okay, that's an interesting one. I know that, you know, Asensio's been playing more false 9, but Kvaratskhelia is now signed for PSG. Are we going to see like Dembele or Kvaratskhelia or has Ramos now forced himself up front? Who knows? But it seems like Villa are looking at potential backups in case they aren't able to secure Felix. And it seems like with Asensio saying yes, this makes their life a bit easier. So let's see what happens there. Tierney, yep. Okay, this is a random one, but that's crazy, man. Like Kamada. I know that Maldini might be going to Atalanta, but it's just crazy to think that this 16-year-old who's already playing pro football at 16 could be playing week in, week out for Monza. That's real wonder kid shit, man. I'm surprised we're not making a move. But in terms of the updates, it's just the Tel stuff as we know. You know, Tottenham having their offer agreed for Tel. 60 mil euros. This tells Europe, listen, like, this is the money you need to get this deal over the line. We don't know what the amount is for loan moves, but in terms of a permanent deal, 60 mil euros, there's something here. There's something here. Now, if you guys are worried, could we be missing out on Tel going to Tottenham? Once upon a time, Tottenham thought they were very close to signing Willian. We know the song. We know how history turned out. It wouldn't be the first time we've allowed Spurs to do all the bitch work for us, only for us to swoop in and get things over the line. But Listen, I feel like we have to really tell. How do I fall in this position where I keep saying tell? It's like I got no bit to me at all. But we got to find a solution to this, because we need to promise Tel that his development will be cared for. At the moment, let's keep things real. If we were to sign Tel, we spent money on other men who, a lot worse, you can argue, for a lot more money, who ended up suffering more. Look at Mikhailo Mudryk. We never, even though Mudryk struggled, I still don't think we ever really got the best out of him for what he needed. How can Tel feel the confidence that he won't go down that same route? We've shown that, we'll take a hit on the money because we'll flip you just like that. But players aren't trying to waste their time. You're not going to waste your time settling in London, settling in the UK, settling in with your teammates, etc., just to find yourself out the door because some business guys now don't see no utility in you. That can't be the case. So I feel like if you want Tel, you have to let this kid know, listen, you're our striker. We believe in you. Because I don't think Tel thought to himself he was set to be, the next left winger in the world. For me, he's a wide forward. He's like a Leao type of wide forward guy. Leao's not like a winger where they play on the touchline, they bring people in, they assist the play more than contribute in the final third. He's not that type of guy, and I think he's struggled at Bayern when he has to play stop and start, when he has two guys on him, when he's deep and far away from goal. He's very much momentum based. He's very much, when he's making that run in behind to run towards goal, you have to find him. So listen, if the football club are really begging it for Tel and doing the most for this kid, you need to come correct. You can't be offering Fugazi minutes. You can't be offering Fugazi ideas. You need to come in saying, listen, clear, simple, open ideas. You're our striker. We believe in you. So let's not waste time anymore. Get ready for West Ham on Monday. You know what I mean? Anyway, CFCFR, appreciate the super chat, my guy. Hiring inexperienced managers with inexperienced squad was a recipe for disaster. Having 4 managers with different styles not help our squad building. You know what I'll add to that, man? I'd probably add, not even inexperienced managers, I'd probably add inexperienced boards, inexperienced directors. We can't take away the fact that a lot of decision making that gets done by clubs comes from the top. And throughout the moment Clear Lake took over, I can accept things were difficult with the sanctions, not getting Edwards in, etc. But I'm sure if these guys could go back in time and change things, I don't think they would have been that aggressive with how they did things, yeah? You're getting these little reports of like a little power struggle between Bowley and Iqbali, talks of maybe both these guys looking to buy each other out eventually. We're seeing more Iqbali in the reins alongside Winsley and Stewart. And what top flight experience do these guys really have outside of being at the type of clubs where, their jobs are to find unearthed talents and flip them for how much money? Not really about buying players or building for teams that win. So they're doing what their job description described they had to do. But we're realizing, does that really fit our ambitions? I mean, as a fan base, for these owners, I don't know. But for us as a fan base, we're thinking, actually, how long is it going to take to start challenging? At the time, when we had an idea, like in our heads, that we were going to need time, I think all of us just assumed that this wasn't going to be time to secure Champions League football. That would be a bare minimum guarantee. That's what we all thought. We didn't realize that actually, not even getting European football, finding yourself in the Conference League, this wasn't part of our original plan or vision. It definitely wasn't part of mine. So being in this out universe, seeing the reality of the decisions, a lot of it screams a bit of inexperience. I mean, one thing I constantly said with Pochettino last season is that one thing I kept hearing was that Pochettino felt it was so crazy that for all the experience he had, being a youth player, a pro player playing at the highest levels in the game, domestically, internationally, being a youth manager, managing top clubs, being in big competitions, doing all these things. He was just baffled that a lot of times he has to answer to guys who have way less football knowledge institutionally than what he has. And that's one thing they've shown, that they don't respect that. And I think if anything, it's not about even the managers being X, Y, Z. For me, our main issue is the fact that we don't really have any football institutional knowledge at this football club anymore. Like we don't. Who are the pro football guys on the board level, helping make those football decisions? We don't have none of that. We got two directors, which is I still don't understand why we needed two directors. At the time, I thought the excuse for needing two was that because these guys forced so much change all at once in such a short amount of time, that you just needed to have two guys because it's an impossible job for one guy to be on the phone trying to sell this guy. Then the next minute he has to be on the phone to this scout. Then the next minute he has to negotiate for this player. This is like, you have to be like an octopus to be able to run all of that. You know what I mean? Like you have to be a robot. You're not operating on steam. This is a 24-hour thing. You know, you've left the charger plugged in. It's never coming out. You need to be powered up constantly. That's what I thought the reason was for needing two directors, because the task at hand is too monumental when you're forcing so much so soon. You know what I mean? But yeah, now I see things, I really feel like there's a lack of football knowledge, institutional knowledge. When you see Fraser leaving, when you see Neil Bath leaving, the guys that made Cobham, and now they decided they had to leave because they weren't seeing eye to eye. And then these men now think that they can do Cobham 2.0 and make us better. You've put yourself in a situation you didn't have to be in. You didn't have to force all this. You'd have to make your life this hard. If you were a bit patient. And what I kept saying was, and I'm going to keep saying this, and I hope you guys get me, but if you respect the principles of the game. But yeah, before I even mention that, I'm seeing a commenter here, Sebastian, exactly. This is why Christian Vivell left. Originally, we had three of these guys. One of these guys had to bounce because it's like, this ain't going to work here. I got no voice. I got no say. And up now is Joe Shields, who has his own unique role, but also has the possibility to attract players and bring them in. It's just giving a bit too much of everything, right? But the point I was trying to get onto, shit, what was the point I'm trying to get onto? No, I lost my train of thought. It will get back to me. But yeah, man, I just feel like this institutional knowledge that we're lacking, this is like the main concern and issue that we're seeing right now. And this is why we're seeing all this like iffy decision making that's not leading to nothing. And I feel like when you get decisions wrong, you're then forced to have to correct them. And it feels like a lot of times we're wasting more time correcting decisions than we are preparing for the future. And as I've constantly said all the time, and I'm going to keep saying this, and I've said this for a few years actually, sometimes when people talk about me, I'm either like too positive or too negative. I've always been a grey in the middle type of guy. If I think it's negative one moment, I have to comment it. If I think it's positive, there's a different angle, I have to say it. Like if you see me as just like some stereotype, you're not seeing me properly, you know what I mean? But one thing I said for a while is look at Man City. When their owners came through, what did they do first? Man City, they focused on making sure the first team was paying. They focused on making sure that the first team was competing, was doing it right. Because if they're not operating on the field, challenging for trophies, winning things, doing that type of shit, yeah, how can you do phase 2? How can you do phase 3? How can you do all these different like phases? You can't do that. Us, on the other hand, we had the genius idea of thinking, what this game's that easy that we can just come in, accelerate everything we do, get the feeder clubs, get all the youth guys and the recruitment patterns, do this, do that, do this, do that, whilst not assuring that the first team was operating properly. And there was an alternate universe where you could have invested for the future. You could have been like, you know what? We're not ready to be investing in Strasbourg just yet. Yeah, we're not ready to be spending more money outside of things to buy youth players that we don't need for like, 2, 3, 4 years. There is rooms for your Esteval Williams. There are going to be rooms for these types of guys that we actually feel will come into the first team and offer us something and not need to go out on loan. But outside of that, our priorities was all over the place. And I kept saying the scorched earth approach, it ruined everything. The biggest consequence we saw was how we completely killed anything in that 22-23 season. Pochettino came through. He had to build a team from scratch, right? Because you have all these individuals that ain't been here. And he's a manager. And this is what I mean. It's easy when I see a lot of fans criticize Pochettino, can do that. There was certain games where you're thinking, listen, I get what you're doing, but Sean, come on, give us some tactics, give us some control. Like, give us a better framework in game. You want to criticize that? I fully get it. But you can't only focus solely on that and then dismiss all the other things that's working against the manager, which is what people love to do because people care about being right compared to what the truth is. You know what I mean? And this is why Poch was screaming out for experience. Shit. Oh shit. I need to get CL football? What? This is what I need to secure now? Where's the experience? I need these types of guys. Because experience, like, we're seeing it. We're a bit of a youthful team, innit? Like, we play on one level. Every time we're on the ball, what's the next attack we can make? Overly running, not controlling your tempo or energy, which you would do by keeping the ball and slowing down the play at time. All these little like smart things, having that leader on the field that's organising the team. We don't have that since Thiago Silva left, yeah? That's abundantly clear. And it makes more sense last season when I was even criticising Pochettino, but it makes even more sense now why Silva was someone that he kept turning towards. Because you need that type of experience, right? So I don't know, man. I know I'm giving like a very long-winded answer, but this is the issue we have more than just managers being inexperienced. I feel like it's past, like when you're seeing like the third season of this, I think you're past like any manager on this earth that will come in here, make sense of what he has here, and then we're overachieving. I mean, we'll do that, but the form just won't last because it's not sustainable. I personally think we're past blaming managers for anything right now. You know, I think Potter got it when he first came. I thought that was a bit harsh, but seeing that two other guys have also had their own difficulties in similar type of fashions, all it tells me is that you gotta look there now to see where the issues are. But anyway, I've got a few more questions. Yeah, I don't know why the hell the missus is calling me. Like, I'm not streaming right now. Woman, man. You guys, I can't believe I got to do this, but I need to... Give me a few seconds. I need to text the missus. I'm streaming. Exclamation. 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 Alright. More questions coming through. Let me go back. Let me move things up a little bit. Getting back to the chat, what you guys sending me now. Suitkill, Arsenal are interested in Watkins more than Tel. I think Arsenal, if they want to try and actually win something, their fans are feeling the pressure. They're tired of being pretenders and nearly, man. They want to win shit. They want to do stuff instantly. I get it. I'm sorry, when you're 29 at Watkins, you can probably play at the highest level for like 3-4 more years. So yeah, I kind of understand that. The Stars, I don't think we will be a big club anymore. I mean, I like to say that we still are. I mean, I just don't know, to be honest. You know, I'm not, again, if you look at the balance a little bit, but not everything that has been bought or done has been awful. But there's also a lot of negatives in terms of like other shit happening that's kind of distracting us from being able to get to where we have to get to. It's annoying, I'm not going to lie. Ian Vickers, bring back Jose Mourinho. I'm sorry. You know what? I don't want Jose's image to get tarnished anymore. I think, he's past those days now. You know, I want to keep the memories I have of Mourinho here. I don't want anything affecting them anymore. So I'm sorry. I don't think Mourinho is doing anything. And if anything, Mourinho will come here and he's going to be mad and he's going to be pissed off when he's answering to guys half his age who are acting like they know better than him because of a few data spreadsheets. So I don't think that's going to work. Fabrizio dropped updates on exits. Has Cassidy finally got a move away from us here? Has he finally found a move? This kid, man, still here. Okay. As I guessed then. So as we know, Washington, of course, was going to be going to Santos, back to the club which he bought him from. And Cassidy and Lazio are very, very close. And to give you guys additional context, Lazio are also interested in, what's his name? Is it Mukhtar Sila? Like the left-footed defender at Strasbourg. And I just think to myself, if that happens, could we maybe see a last-minute loan move of Anselmino going to Strasbourg? I mean, it's the off-season now in Argentina. He's been training for a month. He probably ain't going to play at all this season. I mean, maybe he does. I'd be very surprised. But I can't predict the future. And I'm not going to pretend to. But all I can think is if there's like a loan spot now available at Strasbourg, could you see Carney maybe potentially get a last-minute move there? Or could you see Anselmino moved out there to get some game time now? Let's see how things go. Outside of Romy, what else is going on? It's same old updates, same old updates. Let's see what... I can't believe I'm typing this guy's name in. But yeah, listen, he's active. He's active. What can I say? He doesn't go to sleep. Okay, as we know, yep, Spurs have reached the agreement, which means nothing because it's just an agreement. That's it. His Tel and his team haven't accepted it. Only Bayern have. So if we want to make this move for this guy, we know exactly how much money we have to spend. Random on you guys. But yeah, I saw this on the TL today and I was just like, raw. Is this the future we're living in right now? Where like in the future, yeah, like you're going to be, like if you're broke, you're finished. Because yeah, I didn't even know guys was doing this, man. That's nuts. That's so nuts. Like, because I think to yourself, you might as well just call yourself a different name afterwards. Because no one's going to be talking to you the same way. Like the life as you know it is completely changed now. When you do that to your face, right, your whole identity and shit like that. Crazy. But yeah, let's go back to answering your questions now. You guys didn't come here for that. Ian Vickers, yep, good call. Farmer, when we get our world-class striker in June, I'll just complete everything with Tel free to play on this wing. Let's see what happens. Let's see what striker we get. You know, I want to go back to like the more focused signings where it's like, shit, we only want Caicedo, we only want Enzo Fernandez. No more opportunity now, you know. Have conviction for your top guys, your main guys. Like, please, no more opportunities. We've done it. We've been there. We've done that. P Station, Deal is the new Kane. Delap is the new Harry Kane. I mean, I see why guys say that because he can drop deep, and obviously the bonus is he has like the pace and physicality. But you know, if Kane had that, I think, yeah, you're looking at like, I mean, he's even clearer in his career, right? He goes even clearer. Black Pulse, big up Nini in the chat. Yeah, respect to yourself too, bro. I appreciate that, man. It's been a real struggle getting this stream up and running. It's finally, after like, what, an hour and a bit of struggle, it's now making sense. It's a shame there was like a lot more viewers on earlier, but, you know, I'm glad you guys still came back so we can have this conversation. Captain Hook, imagine Maresca still picking Sanchez. I had Goldberg on in a stream that I did recently. And he gave the impression that, you know, the goalkeeping coach and Ben Roberts has a lot of say in terms of, you know, putting forwards the player for the team, because Maresca is the head coach. But, you know, you think to yourself, like, why are you dying on the Sanchez hill? Unless you think maybe Jorgensen just isn't showing enough where he's really ready. But even if he is or if he isn't, I think out of principle, yeah, West Ham on Monday, Sanchez is far away from the team sheet. If I see Sanchez on that team sheet, I'm going to be a bit angry, I'll be honest. I'm not normally that type of guy. But if I see Sanchez on that team sheet, out of principle, yeah, he should not be in the team regardless. Even if hypothetically he did 99% of things right in that game and he made that one mistake, tough. It's that mistake too many now. So out of principle, Jorgensen has to play, because that's what you do when you have a meritocratic squad, yeah. If the top guy ahead of you flops, the second guy gets an opportunity. And I think Jorgensen, I'm praying this guy's been waiting for this moment, licking his lips, because at least he's given us something in the Conference League for us to have a bit of faith that he deserves an opportunity. I'm sorry. So I have to see Jorgensen against West Ham. Anyway, Tony Tone, thank you, man, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Why are we wasting our time on Tel? I hope we fail on this deal. If we get him next year, we are going to question what his best role is. Now, some people might hear, see your comment and completely disagree, but I completely understand your perspective, for sure, because we've been down this avenue so many times. And I think for many people, just seeing the fact like a Felix, for example, and Nkunku, guys that cost us over 100 million, that are big top players, have no utility or use here. That is a very fair comment that you can't ignore. And I think to myself, if you're going for Tel, I know I've been saying this, but you're only signing him up front, or is Maresca going to start using wide forwards like Liverpool, where Madueke is a wide forward, which he was doing at PSV, I have to say, and then flipping Tel's the other wide forward on the left-hand side, and you're changing things up. That's the only way I see things going. Instead of the game plan being about Cole Palmer and Enzo being the box crashers alongside Nico Jackson? Are you switching the plan up where Madueke, Tel, and Nico are the box crashers and the rest supplement them? This is what I mean by the position you find yourself in. And you think to yourself, if your plan is to play Tel on the left-hand sides alongside like Sancho, is that getting the best out of him, knowing that he was struggling there, playing in a similar winger fashion for Bayern this season? I think that's a fair thing to think about. Do you not just use what you have? My solution, I'll do a video on this, but my solution is maybe we bring back 3-4-3. Maybe it's time to see wingbacks. Yeah? If you've got wingbacks, you know that Felix and Nkunku can play insides as an attacking mids alongside Nico Jackson, or even with each other. Maybe there's times where you think, you know what? Maybe it does make sense to use Nkunku in a 3-4-3 because now he's got Palmer and Felix close to him. That's the difference, right? When you use different formations, there's different ways you can use the players, and how you use them differently brings out better things from these guys, right? I just think Vega's gone. You got Ben Chilwell, like a free wing back on the wings. You got Gusto, Reece James. I'm sure they've probably missed galloping up and down that right flank. And maybe you think this, if we already turn into a back three system off the ball, do we maybe continue to just have that with a more settled like defense at the back now? Is that the way to do things? Is that how we just so we have like another tactical edge, so we don't get figured out, so we can utilize half the squad that we're not using? Is that not the solution right now? So I say this because if you were to start thinking about helping the season by bringing different ideas, maybe we're not desperate to have to sign Tel. Because, listen, I think it's another fucking exciting guy, big potential. But we're not showing that we got the environment for that at the moment. And if we ended this window without anyone, I'm not going to be like other fans crying that we showed no ambition. I think I'd be frustrated that we didn't get a midfield player. Because I'm even talking about 3-4-3, but for God's sake, unless Lavia gets back ASAP and doesn't get injured ever again, we look so light in midfield, and you still worry about Enzo Fernandez being deeper, where this guy's got no defensive IQ, where he lets runners in behind for fun, where even when he presses the ball, this guy's just only looking at where the ball's going, and he just gets spun so easily, and like it's no surprise why he gets dribbled past so much in midfield. He's a presser, but he's not like a defender. But I don't know. This is what I mean. When you've got a squad that's still not fully balanced or perfect or fine-tuned for anything, what do you expect, really? So, Tony Ton, I hear what you're saying about Tel not being the guy. I'm going to put this in a chat, actually. I'm going to maybe create like a little poll. Let me get a poll up and running. I want to see how you guys are feeling about Tel. Do you want Tel in January? Would you be upset if we never signed? Yes, no. Okay. I'll put a poll out for you guys if you want to like interact with it. I'm just curious to see how you're all feeling about Tel. Do you care if he comes? Is this like a sign of like terrible direction and no ambition? Or do you think, you know what? It's not that deep, man. Let us know. But let me answer some more questions. The dominant walk away. Okay, so you'd walk away from the deal. I hear you. Captain Hook. This is what I'm saying. Maresca is too stubborn. We all know it's going to happen. You've said this about a lot of managers. And this is why I can see the other side, where I can understand the frustration that these managers feel, because it's like you've been hired to bring your ideas and your football. But then the conditions don't exist to really fully bring that out. And then in a way, you're kind of forced to have to go against what you were hoping to do. So I get that. I understand that. Listen, on the other side, when Graham Potter was struggling with us and he was bringing a different system every single week, that's also the other side of how things can go wrong when there's no balance. So, it's easier said than done. Shuri M7, how much is Tel going to cost? Well, Spurs have had an offer accepted of 60 million euros. That's 50.2 million pounds. So that's the type of money that you're going to have to pay if you want someone like Tel. Kel Zog Static. Me personally, I don't want Tel. Okay. So 74% of you guys so far are saying no to Tel. Okay. Ian, Tel has gone. Has he really gone? Has he accepted Spurs? Would it surprise me if he does? He's thinking, I just want to play, man. I'm a kid. I just want to play football. Like, ideally, I would have loved to have seen Tel at Frankfurt. Him and Etikite would have been absolutely mad together. But let's see if there's any updates on that. And I guess if Tel's gone, I think that's it then. You just accept, you know what? We ain't selling no one. We're not going to be going for Garnacho. We accept what we have right now. And that's honestly that. You know what I mean? You don't do nothing else, no other business. Build for the summer. Build for the summer. Prepare for that. You know? I mean, I wish if I could do one thing, just recall back a midfield player, because we need one regardless. I just feel like if anything happens to anyone in midfield, I think we're finished this season. It's a shame that, I mean, I would just recall Ugo or Santos or whatever. If we do any madness before deadline day, I'm hoping it's going to be in regards to a midfield player of some kind coming in. Because I told you guys at the start of the window, Maresca's cried out for a striker and a midfield player. It's so obvious why that's the case. It's completely obvious. But moving on. Ian Vickers, both players have gone. Nick, why have 2 questions? Mine's yes, no. I don't know, man. Al Hamza, how you doing, bro? I believe we should go for Duran over Tel. But yeah, I think Duran's gone, bro. Duran's gone. He ain't coming here. I don't mind playing you some Duran clips if, you know, you can see what we've missed out on. But yeah. He's gone, man. He's going to be making that tax-free money, that generational money in Saudi. I mean, I get it, you know. You earn retirement money at 21 years old. You come back after 2-3 years. You got the whole of Europe still after your ass. And you only sign a 5-year deal. And you know that you'll have 2 years left and you're affordable. Yeah, I get it, you know. One of them ones where you tell your mum and dad what's going on right now. They're packing your bags for you, you know. It's that... An offer like this is even above your control at that point. Because making that type of money... Good lords, man. Good lords. Okay, so again, of course, tonight I'm going to release another news video, you guys. Don't worry about that. I want to do something a little bit different, trying to get into the streaming game like a bit more. But I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of updates I'll be going through and discussing. But I'm going to be on for the next 15 minutes. I need to bounce. I need to hit gym very quickly. I need to do something with the missus. And then I need to come back here, make more videos. So yeah, you guys stay tuned. Dimitar, how you doing? Dimitrov. Why don't we just offer 50 mil for Delap? I mean, you'd imagine with all these conversations we've had, have we not maybe done something like that? Is there a possibility that, you know, we end Broja's loan spell at Everton, move him to Ipswich and then pay the money for Delap? I don't know. Do you do that? This is what I mean. There's like so much indecision. Listen, I'll respect Arsenal. You know, they've said, Ollie Watkins, we want you. Boom. Coming in straight away. Let's make it happen. The money's right now. We can do this. They didn't spend this whole market looking at like, you know, Arsenal fans weren't reading stories of like 10 different strikers being linked with Arsenal. That's what we do a bit too often. At times. I've even noticed that my news videos don't even get the same views because I think people are just kind of like, they're newsed out right now. You know, it's too much. They're exhausted. I think we want to see different things now. We want to see the success in the field now. Brian Lee, I'd rather we get Victor Boniface. I mean, I would have been open to Boniface for sure. I think he's the type of forward that can complement what we do here. And knowing that 60 mil is there to buy him, I mean, this is the hard thing. A lot of strikers we're looking at are around that ball range. So this is where I want to see critical decision making. If you want Sergio, and I'll understand that. Okay, you wait for the summer, boom. We're not doing nothing else. But, you know, it'd be nice to get like a bit of clarity as a fan sometimes, so you can feel a bit of like assurance, but it don't really work like that. Sukil, Tottenham didn't get Tel. Then our club, Tottenham, have a master plan, which is Nico Williams, which could be. Have you found a way for Nico Williams to, you know, ask for less money? Or are we going to say, F it, Nico Williams, here's the money you want? But even then, am I paying 300,000 a week for Nico Williams? I feel like when I'm paying that type of money, there's got to be a level of guarantee. I think Nico Williams is a great player for sure. He's a good player, even though he's having a bit of a stagnated season for Bilbao. I'm sure that fell move to Barca hurt him a little bit. Seeing what Rafinha's doing with Yamal and those guys, but still, you know. we've signed so many options down the left flank that haven't come be anywhere near close to successful. We need to make sure we're getting the right guys now. Showman, if Duran was my brother, I would be taking his bag to Saudi even before he makes his mind up. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, when you're getting offered this type of money, tax-free, yeah? I mean, I don't know what the fee is, but I think it's like, what, 300,000 a week, if I read rumours properly. It's like, what, 15 mil a year, net for the year, tax-free. You play there for 2-3 years. That's 30-45 million, you know? And you still come back and you still earn big money in Europe. You know, I had my holiday and now I'm ready to win things now, you know? You can't say no to that. At any point, what if he gets injured, breaks his leg the next game, you know? It's gone then. So I get it. LTK, a bit too much info, bro, but the great thing is you can take me with you to the bathroom. Yeah, that sounds kind of mad. I hope you guys just ignore the last 5 seconds. Darian, our policy is breaking the club. I need to patch Phil in striker. I get what you're saying. I would have happily accepted a Mathys. I would have been like, you know, Crystal Palace, here's 25 million. What are you saying? This guy ain't going to be here. He's got like 1 year left on his contract. Mathys, we need your tall ass up front to help this young team out. I would have done that. Ian Vickers, I'd sign Keller from Liverpool. I just think like no more keepers. I think, listen, if we do anything, it's in the summer. But right now, nah, we can't have a position where we got 3-4 goalkeepers. It's not going to work, to be honest. Send it this season is cooked. Who cares about Jan signings? It's not going to save us. I think that's also a pretty fair point you're making. Do we just accept the reality of right now? And if so, you know, I want my manager to be a manager and find different solutions. You know, if your inverted stuff ain't going to cook the same way, because let's be serious, outside of Cucurella and Caicedo, we ain't really seen no one else master this role and position. And if you're going to be playing this way, it feels like you really need to have like pros, like 2 pros down each side so you can fulfill those needs, right? You know, like we don't have a Gavardio, and I'm seeing that Gavardio, one of the fakest players in the Premier League. One moment left back, one moment inverted winger, one moment midfield player, one moment striker. Yeah, when you have a player like that, I understand why you're doing inverted systems, and I think you could even do that with Cucurella, who's, you know, he looks like a midfield player, Cucurella, when I see him, to be honest with you. But it's a niche role. It's a niche role, and if anything happened to Cucurella, do we have the quality to maintain playing that way? I mean, that's something to think about, right? Stevie and the Saudi League says that all 90% footballers are in it for the money. Exactly, they're in it for the money. Saudi are in it for the, you know, the publicity, the hype. You know, Club World Cup's coming up. You know, they want to be making a big announcement there. They're not doing this stuff for no reason. They're not buying all these players, investing in this talent, or doing all this stuff just so the league can end up like the Chinese league in a few years. No. They're in it for the long game. So, you know, there's net benefits for everyone, to be honest. Caleb Wiley on the way to Watford. Yeah, I spoke about that earlier. I think that's a good move for him. Keep a watchful eye on his development. He settles in the country, settles in the UK, and I think the Championship's a great finishing school. So I think it's a smart move. And as I was saying, this now opens up a loan spot for one of our players to go to Strasbourg. And I'm looking at either Chukwuemeka or I'm looking at maybe Anselmino, who, you know, do you keep Anselmino behind the scenes for half a season doing nothing? Or do you say, listen, you've been here for a month, go play your football under Liam Rosenau and get ready for the future? That could make more sense, right? Okay, so yeah, exactly. So I'd imagine... Okay, thank you, Mo. But yeah, I imagine that there was going to be lots of stories coming out in the evening, as it has been these last few days. So I'm going to have a separate news video coming out, a traditional one in the evening time. So stay tuned for that. But I'm going to be you guys for the next 8 minutes. If you guys want your questions prioritized, if you guys want to discuss other things, you know, let me know, man. But I'm going to be on for the next 8 minutes. And hopefully if I do another stream tomorrow, please, God willing, the stream will just work fine. Because... yeah, I just look like such an uncle today, man. Just looked like I wasn't serious at all. Crazy. Andreas, Clown Lake out. I mean, I get your frustration, bro. I get your frustration. But, you know, if we were to unpack that for a second, yeah, realistically, it's only going to be Clown Lake out if a body says, you know what, this football thing, it's not what I signed up for. It's getting a bit long. It's getting a bit boring. Bowley, you think you can buy me and the boys out? Let's talk business. That's the only way that would happen. But then we just go back to another transition state and repeat the whole cycle again. But hopefully it's a bit easier, because I know, like, when people are criticizing the contract lengths we dished out for players, I just think to myself, look at a Cole Palmer, for example. He's here for the next 9 years. We own this guy's life. We own this guy's soul in a way, which is a mad thing to say. We completely own him. So unless the money is just out of this world, we can control him. We can't do anything. He can't do anything. So that's the only thing that safeguards us in the future. When Enzo's and Caicedo's and all these big purchases have many years left from their contracts, which gives us a bit more time to hopefully turn things around. That's the only plus side I would see. If Todd Body, for example, there was this like situation where one of these guys buys each other out, and you know what I mean, things are done that way. But let's see what happens. Obviously, with the current model, if the money is right, if it's sustainable, then at least all the investors in the consortium are thinking, well, you know what, obviously we thought there'd be a stadium here already. We got the plans for that. We thought we'd have like 2 or 3 feeder clubs. You're talking about this youth network model. You only have Strasbourg. All these conversations with Jorge Mendes didn't lead to getting a Portuguese club. Like, all these things haven't worked out yet, but at least the money's still making sense. So can't complain, even though the investment isn't the big flip that we thought it might be. But yeah, I don't know, man. As I keep saying, when you force doing everything all at once and you don't respect the game and do it step by step, like what Man City did, you find yourself at the mercy of the unpredictable, the unforeseeable, all these things that can work out against you. So I don't know, a bit of a mad one. The Demonat owners are required to be here for 8 more years. Exactly. Remember, they can't even take out dividends for like another 8-7 years, and they can't sell up at all. So we're stuck with them. So I understand all the clear lake out, but unless one of these guys buys each other out, it's I feel like it's a very redundant thing to say. Even though I get you're releasing the emotion, I get it, but it's a very redundant thing to say. Hodag, just convert a strong centre-back as a striker. But you guys just played Tolson up front. I mean, some of the finishes that he put in recently. Tolson up front. Target man Tolson. Is that the way forward, guys? Mark, you deserves a chance in the Premier League. Ooh. Bro, against Morecambe, he looked kind of non-existent, no? I mean, I get when the situation where when the first team guys aren't doing it, how worse can the other backup players be? But I mean, let's not forget, I don't think you, outside of Conference League, has really done too much, to be fair. But maybe he just needs opportunities, like a few more like 10-minute sub appearances to find his voice in the field. That could be the case, you know what I mean? That could be the reality, but I still think I'm not expecting you to get an opportunity and he ends the season with like 10 goals. That's not going to happen. Sack Maresca. One love. If you sack Maresca, let us know in the chat. Who are you replacing him with? Let us know. Sam J, excited to sign Garnacho. Is this Sam J from Twitter? I mean, I don't even know. If we find ourselves in this situation for Garnacho and we end up giving money to Manchester United for him, nah. Personally, I think the Garnacho hate is a bit mad. I think it's a bit over the top, but he's not the guy I'm signing. It's not even that he's a bad player that won't be good in the future. It's the fact that there's only so many of these guys you can have on your team. Yeah, at some point you need to go for the players who are closer. Listen, if I could sign 2 guys on the left wing, I'm looking at Mohamed Kudus. This is a guy that's ready to level up the team, and he's ready for now. He's not ready in 5 years. And he's versatile as fuck. He can play every position down the flank, in behind, in midfield, and even up front. I think this is a cheat code type of player you bring in. And from the summertime, his release clause is activated. This is who I'm going for. I look at it like a Lookman. I think I did a stream on Goldberg's thing recently. Him and Keenan were talking about, not really seeing it in Lookman, thinking that he'd be a gamble. But then I've seen Lookman play. I saw what Lookman did against Real Madrid in the Champions League. Yeah, I saw what he did in that hat-trick he scored against Leverkusen. That was like a Falcao-esque type of hat-trick moment. One of the best hat-tricks we've seen in the last 10 years. The goals he scored to win it too. This guy is like one of the top wingers, in my opinion. He's one of the top wingers. He's a match winner, and he's a game changer. And his contract expires in in 2026, like in 1.5 years' time. I'm looking at players like this to sign. Yeah, I'm not looking at more 19-year-olds or 20-year-olds. It's too much right now. Yeah, I turn towards a player like that, and I hope that Jadon Sancho can find more form, because originally he was once that 19-year-old who everyone in Europe was ready to pay 100 million for, and look at the reality as like a 24-year-old 5 years later, 4 years later. He isn't getting 20 goals and 20 assists a season, is he? Because football doesn't work like that. And this is the thing when you constantly bank on potential. They're not set to be the next guys who are going to get you 20 goals a season and 15 assists just like that. It don't work like that, You need to have balance. And with these guys you have, let Sancho develop. He's not peaked yet. Let Sancho get to 26, 27. See what he can do then. We used to have that in your Williams, your Pedros, and your Maludas, and guys like that. And is it any surprise that we had balance like that in the team, we would win things? This model makes no sense if we're not winning on the field. It doesn't make... Otherwise, why not just buy out Brighton? You could have bought out Brighton. Imagine if you bought Brighton, you gave them, you got $1 billion to spend. You're giving your Caicedos 10-year deals where they can never leave you at all. You could have literally bought Brighton, invested all this money into them, and they'd be a lot happier for it and in a much better place here. But it's not the same with us. That's not the institution you bought. It don't work like that now. But guys, I'm going to be on for like 5 more minutes and I'm going to bounce. One love, you would sack Maresca to replace him with Areola. I think it's Iraola. I don't think it's Areola, bro. But yeah, we say this, but we do this all the time. Why does Areola make sense? Because this summer, him and the directors, they worked together. Areola said, I need runners in my team. If they can't run, if they fail the fitness test, if they don't have the VO max cubed shit in their lungs, I don't need them. And what did the Bournemouth directors do? They said, okay, boss, I got you. Out went your Hamid Jarares and guys like this. Even Max Aarons went. Guys who don't have legs and can't run, they're not going to survive in Areola's system. Now think to yourself, bro, if he's demanding this amount of energy in terms of running and pressing, is our squad, as you're seeing right now, is it suited to playing that type of super football? That fast, intense football, like from the first minute to the 90th minute? It's not, bro. So again, I think we're past the point where managers will come in, make sense of this squad, and things then just turn around overnight. It's not going to be like that no more, man. I think we're past that stage realistically. And honestly, I'm tired of managers coming here. I'm tired of looking at their tactics, looking at how their teams performed. I'm just tired of that stuff. I think Maresca has some promising ideas. There's enough to give him like a season or two to work. And if that's the case, the fucking directors have to step up and start thinking about the present and the now, and not just like their CVs and their careers. I think that's what it has to come down to now. Can we recall Andre Santos? We can, but I don't think we want to yet. Kyotso, we are tired of hearing about starlets. We need experience. Yeah, there's only so many starlets you can have realistically, Casually FC, big up yourself too, bro. I appreciate that, man. Mad Sai, it's not really the coach, it's the appointment of not one, exactly, but 2 sporting directors. Like I was saying before, I thought the utility of having 2 sporting directors was that because we force so much work onto them, I think it's impossible for one director to sell 20 players, buy 15 more players, talk to scouts about 30 more young players, then talk to Strasbourg about 10 other players. There's just not enough hours in the day. Like we know, like near the end of the last summer window, reports came out saying that both Stewart and Winsley were doing 16 hours a day. Like, you know how mad that is? 16 hours a day. Yeah. 16, that's 2 working days back to back, doing every single day to get deals happening. Because these conversations, when you're going through the legal stuff with lawyers over players' contracts, conversations with this, you're talking to clubs, it's taking you a week to hold discussions because that club is also talking to 5 other clubs about 7 other players. You see how all the time gets consumed. It's hard stuff. And I thought that was the reason why we had to have 2 directors, because flipping, we just force so much work on these guys. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's saying much. And if we did have 2 directors, bro, you know what I would have done? I'd have one of these guys and I'd have a football experience guy. Someone that's been in the game, that understands that side of things. In an alternate universe, I know it would never have happened, but when Lampard was the interim, if we said to Frank Lampard, here is the fucking bag, Lampard. Here is the bag, Lampard. Yes, you have managerial ambitions, but please, come back to this football club, take a new role. Be our Deco, be our Maldini, be that guy that can help oversee what's needed, because you was a winner back in the most glorious times in our club's history. You know exactly what's needed for success. You have a great eye towards the future, a great eye for players. You have institutional knowledge. You have respect in the game. You're a smart guy. You got those degrees under your belt. Yeah? This is what I would have liked to have seen. That mixture of football experience alongside the business guy. But, I mean, they went the complete American flipping investor route model direction. And it's not really amounting to much success in the field, is it? It's not really amounting to none of that right now. And I know I'm talking about hypotheticals, but hypothetically, yeah. When Lampard was interim and we just said to him, Frank, you're staying here right now, yeah? You didn't read the fine print when you accepted these terms to be interim. You're stuck here for the next 5 years now, tough. You inadvertently have accepted you're going to be one of our, football directors, sport directors, whatever you want to call them. That's what we need, and I think we lack that. Because he would have been, why I would have liked a football guy alongside the directors? Because a football guy is the perfect mediator for the manager. He's able to talk to the manager, get the ideas there. One example I talk about in terms of like a great relationship is Simon Rolfs and Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen. Rolfs played for Bayer Leverkusen. I'm sure you guys remember him from FIFA. He was a football player. He's a young guy, 35 years old. Same as Xabi Alonso. Like, they're both clued up. They both get it. And they both help support each other's needs. That's what you need. We're looking at Areola. One of the reasons why Areola is having a great season is that Thiago Pinto, the new director that they hired from Roma, he gets it as well. And he listens to his manager and he backs him. You know what I mean? This is the type of... Like, if anything crazy happened at a board level... And if one of Winsley or Stewart decided, you know what, I've kind of done here, I got the CV now, Al Nassr telling me to come through to create this model in Saudi Arabia, and they're going to pay me, 10 million a year, adios Chelsea, see you later. God willing, if something like that happens, hire a football guy at the top, because you need that balance, man, you need that. We were losing it for what? All the great staff and coaches we had just got kicked out the door for no reason. So these like wannabes can come here and do what, come on. But I keep saying 5 more minutes. I'm going to be here literally, when it gets to like 6:10, I'm bouncing you guys. So if you want any questions, prioritize, now's your moment, boys and girls. But Claudio Da Costa, I wish he was our sporting director or at least the scout, or at least had some capacity, right? But let's keep it real, even under the old ownership, they weren't that perfect. Like, we look back with rose-tinted glasses because we won things. But they were also quite shit too, because they could never build up success to save their lives. Like, imagine winning the Champions League in the manners we did, and then not fucking building from that in each season. Like, only a club like us could do that, Emmanuel, make Lampard director of football. That could have been interesting. Yep, Lampard was a fantastic player for sure. Ellie, we need to get rid of these sporting directors. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to happen. I really don't get how it's going to play out at all. Casually FC, they think they are doing an amazing job. In reality, it's mediocre. I mean, it is. I think when you've got so many advantages you're taking over the club with, and this is the best you can show for it, I feel like you're missing the point a little bit, right? But to continue on, you're saying Casually FC, what annoys me the most of the sporting directors is the horrendous planning for the youth signings. I mean, Dacho, Fofana, Washington, Cassidy, Vega, Kellyman, the ones that we are looking, that only look promising are Santos and Estevan. And you're right. And I feel like with all these distraction signings we made, but there's no real use for them at all, outside of the hopeful flip, like when Angelo, who we thought might be on the books for like a few years, right, to assess, like, could Angelo maybe one day take the squad spot from Noni Madueke? Got flipped just like that. It's like we don't even have the money to even keep hold of these guys, you know. It's mad, man. It really is. It really is confusing. It really is like unnecessary. Maybe it works at Brighton because you're buying a lot of these guys for like, you know, 10 times less the money. I get it, but here, I don't think it works like that, man. But you guys, I'm gonna wrap things up. I got shit to do right now. I need to come back. I'll have another news video just discussing the recap and everything that went down. And I think the Tel video I'm gonna probably have to release tomorrow. I don't think there's enough time now to do both. But yeah, my friends, thank you to everyone that's persevered with me, that stayed here even though they saw my struggles, my comedic struggles at the start. Hopefully tomorrow I want to do another one of these because it's made sense finally, and I'm going to probably do it in the afternoon around 12. So I'm going to give you guys a heads up in advance so we can do another one of these streams and hopefully go through more questions and keep the conversations going. So yeah, thank you to everyone today. Lots of love. Enjoy your evening, and I'll see you guys